Hello, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Keyline Interactive. My name is Kelly Narcisse, and I'll be your host today. Thank you all for joining us. Today's topic touches upon the recent escalation in the use of mobile payment apps. If you followed the last two editions of our newsletter in September and October, you may have read the two-part article that focused on mobile payment apps. Today we have our two researchers here to go further into detail about this latest trend that has been growing in popularity, especially with the recent hype of Apple Pay. So what does this mean for Google Wallet and other familiar mobile payment apps? And how will Apple Pay revolutionize the idea of leaving your house without carrying around that bulky wallet? So we're excited to talk with two of our researchers from Keyline Interactive, Kathleen Henning and Phil McGinnis, about mobile payment apps from a UX perspective. They're going to share with us their personal experiences using these apps out in the field, which include during music festivals and special events, and what the most common mobile payment apps that are currently available on the market right now, and kind of what their fielding experiences have been. So it's my pleasure to go ahead and introduce our panel. First, we have Phil McGinnis, and he has been one of our key players when it comes to quantitative research. He's been a key contributor to our mobile competitive index reports for auto insurance, mobile banking, and cruise industries. Phil has also played a key player in clients such as Clorox, Belk, USAA, FedEx, State Farm, and Citibank. He plays a role in the entire study process, which includes creating the scripts, moderating, and producing the final reports. We also have Kathleen Henning, and she joined Keyline Interactive in 2013 and has been an asset to our team of researchers ever since. She's worked on clients such as the Coca-Cola Company, Anthropology, and Citibank. Kathleen has also been a contributor to our competitive index reports and has always played an important role as one of our lead researchers in surfacing these key findings for our clients. So we're excited to have our researchers go ahead and get started, but I'd like to walk you guys through all the widgets that you are currently seeing on your screen. And as you can see, the widgets are available there for you to interact with. So feel free to post on Twitter during the webinar and use our hashtag KLIEvents. You can also read about our presenters in the bio widget on the left. And we also provided you a resource list on your right-hand side, and that has the links that are going to be discussed throughout the webinar. So feel free to click through those after the presentation if you're curious to get some more information. At the end, we also ask that you fill out a quick survey to give us some feedback on our webinar, and we really appreciate your participation with that. You can find it on the bottom menu with the other widgets. It's a small red one, and we would love it if you guys can click on that at the end and just answer those quick 5 questions. And lastly, go ahead and feel free to submit any questions that may come up throughout this webinar in the Q&A window on your left. Although you're not going to get a live response from us, we will receive your questions via email, and we are going to respond to you in a timely manner. So feel free to ask us anything along the way. And without further ado, let me go ahead and pass it off to Kathleen and Phil.
Thank you, Kelly. My name is Phil McGinnis. I'm going to start us off here by going over the methodology used to review the mobile payment apps. Then we'll jump into a general overview of the field. We'll look at some big players in the mobile payment industry, and then we'll look at some recent developments in the last few weeks and months. After that, Kathleen and I will talk about our experiences with these apps in the field, what would make them better, in our opinion, through our research, and we'll look at the future of mobile payments and make some predictions about the coming months. As far as the methodology, we looked into various mobile payment options all over the map, from NFC payments like Apple Pay and Google Wallet to other innovative options like LoopPay and Coin Wallet. We tested some of these apps in the field where possible and also researched the strengths and weaknesses of the different approaches. Let's look at a brief overview of the mobile payment field.
Now, let's look at a few methods that are used for mobile payments from the consumer side. There are four major methods, the first being NFC or Near Field Communication. This is used by two of the major players in the market, Apple Pay and Google Wallet. This allows two devices placed within a few centimeters of each other to exchange data wirelessly. In order for it to work, both devices must be equipped with an NFC chip. For iPhones, this was just added in iPhone 6, but most new Android devices have it as well. It works kind of like Bluetooth, but uses significantly less power. The only issue with this is it requires retailers to jump on board and equip their registers to accept NFC, which has been a slow process thus far. We think that Apple jumping into the market will speed that up due to their partnerships with vendors. You also have the check-in method used by companies like PayPal, and that works like checking in on Yelp or Foursquare, where you actually use GPS to locate your restaurant and then you pay through the app. It also has the added security layer of saving your picture on the app, and you can show it to the restaurant owner to verify your payment. Other smaller options like LoopPay and Coin work differently. Loop works by using a key fob or a phone jacket to wirelessly transmit your data, but instead of using NFC, it actually submits directly to the magnetic card readers that exist in a lot of retailers already. That means that they don't actually have to upgrade their systems to NFC to get this to work. In addition, Coin works by storing all of your card data on a similar card-looking object that users or waiters can swipe through a machine like they're used to. This is a cool method because it works like any traditional card, and the familiarity is helpful for consumers.
Now I'll pass it over to Kathleen, who will introduce some of the major players in this industry.
All right, so the most recent new entrant into the mobile payments field is Apple. And these screenshots show the beginning of the process of adding a credit card into Apple Pay. So Apple Pay launched a week ago, and we'll talk later about how its entry may impact this field. The setup process is very straightforward. As this series of screenshots shows, you enter into the Passbook app, you choose credit and debit cards, and then you set it up. One thing that it does do is instead of sort of visually showing you how the setup process works, it explains it via text, which in user research we found does not always adequately communicate what it wants to, because sometimes when people are faced with text like that, they choose not to read. However, the next page is very straightforward, and on that page you're able to select the camera icon, and then it will scan your card for you so you don't have to enter the numbers. This is very good from a customer-facing standpoint, because whenever you can save customers time, they're usually very happy. What you do is you hold your credit or debit card in front of your phone, and then the phone scans it. You only have to enter in the information from the back of the card, and then certain banks have an additional verification step, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. So with Wells Fargo, the additional verification requires a new app, which is definitely a pain point. Making users download a supplementary app can add considerable time and effort to the process. After you download this app, you then have to log in with your online banking credentials, which are not saved. In the future, this might be a helpful use of Touch ID. However, once you have logged in with your credentials, you have radio button options for your account instead of having to type it in again, which is very smart from a user experience standpoint, because it makes it easier for people to just select one rather than typing in the whole credit card number or having to scan it again. For further verification purposes, you enter in the last 4 digits of your phone number. At this stage, you are given a numeric keypad, which fits within UX guidelines for number entry. However, you have to click into each box separately rather than being able to enter all 4 numbers at once, which adds time to what could be an easier process. When you log back into Passbook, Apple lets you know when your card is ready to use. The PayPal app has been around for a while. The following screenshots illustrate the payment process on an iPhone. It saves your coupons, so when you arrive at the merchant, your coupon is displayed on the check-in screen. However, It makes you log in again each time. The first time you set it up, you need to take a photo of yourself. One issue with the initial setup process is that it involves multiple steps. I was introduced to this app at the Governor's Ball Music Festival where the cell service was spotty. Many people at the festival experienced issues with initial setup, including getting frozen at the picture stage, being unable to log in with their account information, and having the merchants unable to accept the payment. However, when you're in an area with good cell service, the app is a more seamless experience on the iPhone. It lets you know right away that your payment has been accepted via both email and push notifications. The picture to the right is what it looks like when on the merchant side on an iPad when they are accepting your PayPal payment.
I also field tested the PayPal app on my Android phone. I found that it works like any other food ordering app, since the ordering relies on the structure and capabilities of the Eat 24 Hours service, which actually has its own app as well. My experience with the setup was fairly easy, although you do have to enter a lot of basic information and also add your picture to the app, which some people might not like. After setup, I found that the app was slowing down the ordering process with numerous errors. At first, the PayPal app was stuck on the delivery setting for food, even when I toggled the setting to takeout. I looked again, and the delivery fee and minimum order for delivery still remained on the screen, even though the takeout button had lit up. The ordering function also repeatedly timed out with a plain text screen reporting an unspecified error or a gateway timeout. On top of all that, the ordering process was generally very slow to load. This could have just been growing pains with the PayPal app, but it wasn't a great user experience for me. Feeling a bit discouraged, I shut down the app for the day and ordered through other means. When I came back a few days later, I was able to successfully complete an order, so it might have just been a one-time thing, but I could see users being discouraged from that process. I also reviewed the Google Wallet app on Android, which uses NFC, as we discussed before. Since I had already used Google Payments in the past, the setup was quick and easy. It had already stored my credit card information from online transactions, and I was able to just log in, and there it was. The trouble started when I tried to find a location where I could actually use this payment method. Google's site doesn't provide any list of merchants where Google Wallet payments are accepted. This may be due to vendors being slow to adopt NFC, which is necessary for this type of payment to spread. They may not want to advertise that there aren't a ton of locations where you can use it. Unfortunately, this leaves the user to find locations themselves, which makes this convenient method of payment not so convenient. In a week at home in Silicon Valley and a week traveling, I didn't come across one location where I could make a payment with my Google Wallet. With limited adoption and no other means for finding out where this type of mobile payment is accepted, I found Google Wallet is far from replacing the standard leather option.
So, due to an unfortunate coincidence, the company ISIS, which is a consortium of banks, is now in the process of changing its name to Softcard to avoid sharing its name with a militant terrorist group. However, that isn't the only obstacle facing the newly named Softcard. While Google Wallet restricts the use of near-field communication NFC payments to Android, Softcard tries to bring these payments to the iPhone as well with a special case, but the majority of these range from between $50 and $100. So requiring users to invest additional money to make payments creates a high barrier to adoption, especially when NFC payments aren't yet accepted on a widespread basis. Softcard does, however, address one of the pain points with Google Wallet because it allows users to search for local stores that accept NFC payments. They also boast of numerous security features on their site, including a PIN entry required before each purchase, the ability to freeze your wallet remotely, as well as using unique transaction IDs for each payment, which is something that Apple Pay also does. Instead of relying on NFC, customers have another option in LoopPay. LoopPay gets around using NFC technology by imitating credit cards in a way that allows the familiar credit card readers to get the signal. This allows LoopPay to work in almost any store using the technology that's already in place. As with Softcard, though, this requires the user to make an initial investment. At this time, Loop Wallet provides the option of a reasonable $39 for a key fob or $99 for a charging phone case and key fob. Another interesting option in the mobile payment field is the coin payment card. This works similarly to LoopPay, but instead of requiring a fob or charging case, users can store their cards in a credit card-shaped item and switch between them at the tap of a button. This has the added benefit of removing any questions of NFC adoption or security concerns with wirelessly transmitting credit card information. In addition, it provides the comfort of a payment process with which both users and vendors are familiar. There is no need to fumble with a mobile app or worry about having mobile service if you can simply hand a card to a waiter or cashier. Another neat feature unique to the system is added security through a Bluetooth tether. Coin uses a low-energy Bluetooth signal to connect with your phone, which will then alert you if you get too far away from the card, say by walking away from a shop and leaving it on the counter. So what's the downside? Again, users need to invest in the card, and right now it's still in the crowdfunding stage. Early investors can buy the card for $50, while once it's released, it will retail for $100. If somehow Coin can manage to bring the price down, this could be interesting to consumers who maybe have multiple credit cards and still like that form factor, but would prefer to carry one card rather than 4 or 5. Like Apple Pay, LevelUp has a card scanning feature. This too works quickly and easily. LevelUp is available at a variety of merchants, like Donut Plant in New York, which is where I tested it. You hold up a barcode to their receiver and it scans. However, in practice, when you're actually using it, this process can be slow because the phone and the receiver do not always appropriately link up. This is one of the bigger pain points of this system, since it's easy to set up, but actually paying with it, you typically slow down the line and it ends up taking almost more time than if you were just paying by card, which you would have to get out of your wallet. It has a rewards program already, though, where you spend $50, you get a $5 credit. And I know a rewards program is something that some of these services do not yet possess, but they plan to in the future.
We also looked into the app provided by the Levi's Stadium, which is the San Francisco 49ers. We wanted to see these systems, these mobile payment systems, get adopted at stadiums and concert venues, and this is one of the first places to do it on a large scale. They actually have free Wi-Fi throughout the stadium, which helps users use the app. And the neat feature is that they have express lines for users who order through the app, and then there's lines for people that are paying cash or credit. So this actually gives added incentive for users to use the app rather than traditional mobile payment options where you're still in the same line with all other consumers. Another neat feature is it allows you to order food to be delivered to your seat, allowing you to continue watching the game while you wait for your food to be delivered.
So the Starbucks app has actually allowed mobile payments for years, long before most of these companies entered the market. You enter in your card information for your Starbucks card, you hit pay when you're at the appropriate store, and you scan the barcode as seen in the last screenshot on the right. It too works independently of NFC payment capabilities. Now, Starbucks is always looking to innovate in this space, and in Korea, they've released a new feature called Siren Order, where customers enter in their order details and receive a QR code, which is scanned by baristas at the counter. Starbucks is thinking about rolling out app pre-order capabilities in the U.S. in the next 3 to 6 months.
Now that we've gone over some of the bigger and smaller players in the market, let's look at where they could improve. For NFC, we're mainly looking at security and coverage. Security is not really an issue on the technological side, but from the consumer standpoint, they might be a little bit worried about wirelessly transmitting their credit card information through the air, especially after recent issues like the Apple iCloud leak. Coverage is another issue that we've mentioned, but it really goes down to getting retailers to jump on board with NFC and upgrade their systems. It's not a cheap upgrade, and getting big retailers is one thing, but getting all the small mom and pop shops to jump on board as well is a little bit tougher. For LoopPay and Coin, they either need funding or they need development. Coin in particular might face issues with the recent upgrades to credit cards where they'll actually have a special chip installed that will make it a little bit harder to imitate. Coin has currently delayed their full product release until spring 2015, pending more investors and those changes that they need to keep up with. LoopPay is already on the market, so they don't really need the crowdfunding so much, but they do need to develop adjustments for the iPhone 6, which changed the market significantly. Since iPhone 6 users already have NFC for payment, they probably won't be willing to invest in a special phone case just to get the same functionality. Now let's move on and talk about the future of mobile payments. The future of mobile payments is a bit difficult to see because it's such a rapidly changing market. There are security concerns, including people eavesdropping on credit card transactions, people losing their phones or having them stolen, and there's also a general strangeness to the experience to people who are used to either paying cash or swiping credit cards. There are also credit card changes going on, such as the chip being added that we mentioned earlier. LoopPay and Coin are particularly affected because they have a physical device that imitates the credit card signal, so they'll need to be compatible with that, and at the moment, they haven't released any press information that states that they'll be making the adjustment. As far as hardware evolution, iPhone 6 changes the market significantly by including NFC as a default option. Finally, it's a very competitive market, as you saw when we talked about the different offerings. Apple Pay itself was recently pulled from CVS and Rite Aid just last weekend as we're recording this, because those stores are part of an organization called MCX, the Merchant Customer Exchange, that's making its own payments app called Currency. That focuses exclusively on checking account transactions and avoids fees from credit cards, so it's a little more merchant-friendly. All of these changes mean that there's a lot going on right now in the mobile payments market. It's hard to predict what will happen next.
Thank you, Kathleen and Phil, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. We really do appreciate it, and we hope that you're able to get a lot out of it. Go ahead and feel free to submit any questions you may have in the Q&A box if you haven't done so already, and we will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. You can also get in touch with KeyLime Interactive by emailing marketing@keylimeinteractive.com. And lastly, we would love if you can take that survey on the bottom of your screen on the menu. It's a quick 5 questions, and we would love to get your feedback. Again, thank you for your time, and this concludes our webinar for today. Have a great day.